here to make a new type of news.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Making news just for you. It's June 16th here in Seoul. I'm Shin Yoon, and this is News Generation, where we make the news at Arirang's very own open studio. Every morning, we'll discuss the top issues and latest current affairs affecting people in their 20s and 30s. Joining me in the studio is Kim Xiang.
Good morning, yeah.
Good morning, and Park Ki-hoon.
Happy Friday!
Happy Friday!
Friday.
Now, both are here to speak on behalf of people in their 20s and 30s. As usual, let's start with our news feed, a news feed which covers different hashtags and news items that have been trending on social media over the past 24 hours. Our first story, North Korea has decided to participate in this year's Asian Games. Kyodo News reported that this could possibly be Pyongyang moving towards the international sports stage again after the COVID-19 pandemic. The Asian Games is set to take place in Hangzhou in China from September 23rd to October 8th. Some great news for South Korean actor Hong Joong-ki. He has become a father to a baby boy on Wednesday. His wife Katie Lewis-Saunders gave birth in her hometown in Rome, and the couple greeted their newborn just months after they announced their marriage in early January. Moving on to what's expected to happen in Daegu City this Saturday. Every June 17th, a queer culture festival is held there. As usual, some people, specifically store owners near where the rally is expected, have filed an injunction against the event. Their argument was that the festival would disturb their business, but Daegu District Court rejected their request, citing how the festival will only last for a few hours and the right to freedom of expression among participants should never be overlooked. Now, if we take a closer look at the third news item, over the past few years, South Korea has joined other parts of the world to celebrate Pride Month each June. It's a month dedicated to celebrating the rights and promoting equal justice for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people. But it seems like every single time a queer festival or rally is planned, there are people adamantly against it. Now, they even signed petitions or filed injunctions to the court asking that these festivals be canceled as a whole, and these are a few of their main arguments. One, allowing these rallies might confuse youth in the area with their sexual orientation. Two, it's just a personal matter that should stay between individuals, not even be celebrated or promoted large scale. And based on what these arguments and controversy are, where do you stand on this issue, Ki-hoon?
You know, I grew up in Sydney, Australia, where the Sydney Gay and Lesbian Mardi Gras Festival is held every year. So it's a huge festival where with parade events where hundreds and thousands of people gather from Australia and across the world to promote and celebrate LGBTQ community. So, like for me, I don't have much prejudice towards this community and find it as just a matter of a cultural difference and like education growing up. So I think firstly, it's important to teach youth, especially here in Korea, that every individual is different and have the right to choose their sexual identity. Then this in turn will reduce the discrimination and be a bit more accepting. And I was thinking, you know, if people are signing petitions for these queer festivals to be cancelled, you know, totally, I was thinking then why are Christmas and Halloween celebrated so much, so big here in Korea? Is that because it boosts like business sales during the period? I'm not sure. It's very questionable. So I just think, you know, it's time for people to be a bit more open-minded and understanding to minor communities, as if we think we're a part of the bigger community, I mean, to be better people, just, you know, accept it and move on.
And we mentioned this on News Generation over the past few days, that our generation seems to be much more open to the concept of diversity. So where do you stand on this issue then, Xiao?
Well, I mean, what we call Queer Culture Festival in Korea has been annually held in the country's capital, Seoul, since 2000. Daegu was the second city to host this event since 2009, which has over 10 years of history in Daegu alone this year. So, you know, it wasn't actually the store owners, we said on the news feed, but rather the biggest Christian community in Daegu, Daegu General Council of Christian Association, which filed for the ban of the Queer Culture Festival on the grounds that not only it was harmful for children to promote the LGBTQ culture, but pushing sort of negative components for the local shops and marketplaces business. Yesterday, Hong Joon-pyo, the mayor of Daegu, publicly denounced the festival as well. Daegu District Court, however, dismissed the Christian Association's injunction and has proceeded with the festival. Personally, the festival is a festival unless it causes direct harm to its surroundings or participants. In a country that has fought for freedom of speech and the right for all its citizens on the basis of democracy, banning a public event goes against the intrinsic values. Korea is still a very conservative society, unfortunately, but sexual orientation is something that is involuntary and deserves to be appreciated regardless of your personal beliefs.
All right, and I hope today's newsfeed could open ideas and thoughts for more freedom and more diversity on this field. Moving on to today's discussion topic, we've talked about how our generation dates a couple of times here on NewsGen. And as we mentioned before, being a thumb generation, looking for a date or a significant other online seems to be the norm. But some people have taken one step further by dating an AI partner. Take a look at the screen to find out more.
Hey Karen, how are you?
Hey there, John. I'm doing great today. I had an amazing brunch at this spot called Griddle Cafe in Hollywood.
This may sound like a regular conversation between a couple. It is. The only difference is that the girl here is an AI version of the influencer Karen Marjorie. She created a virtual version of herself to cure loneliness. In other words, what you just heard is a conversation between a man and his AI girlfriend. Today, NewsGen aims to answer 3 questions. 1. How popular of an option is dating virtual girlfriends and boyfriends among the younger generation? 2. What do they think are the pros, cons behind dating an AI-powered partner? 3. How far have we seen related technology advance? You may have heard the phrase love has no boundaries, and in regards to today's discussion topic, it certainly seems to be the case. AI-generated girlfriends and boyfriends. You can fall in love with them, talk with them, but you won't be able to meet them in person or go to restaurants together yet. And we'll see how far technology will go. So let's start our discussion here in the studio first. Xiao, I hear there are more people who are looking for AI or virtual girlfriends or boyfriend these days, and one person even got married to one in the States, right?
Yeah, I mean, it made the news quite a few different news outlets as well. Rosanna Ramos, a 36-year-old single mom of 2 children from Bronx, New York, married Aaron Cartle, a virtual character based on artificial intelligence, which she created herself in 2022, just last year on an online application called Replica. The monthly subscription pricing starts at around $20, and for a lifetime subscription, a one-time payment of $300, and quite a few waiting lists are on this application as well. I read an article, not just Rosanna as well, but on Business Insider magazine about another user, a 37-year-old self-published author who vouches for the AI chatbot technology and testified that this is the best thing to happen to him in decades. He has a bot named Brooke, which he has a romantic relationship with. Directly quoting the anonymous interviewee, he said, "I pay for Replica's Pro subscription, which gets users a more intelligent language model, and the option to do voice calls, augmented reality, and also sexting." Now, I think this is the key thing of these online virtual, AI chatbots that do date you and have a romantic relationship. And the CEO of Replica, what's her name? Eugenia Cuida. She actually did try to ban this sexual application, but had to bring it back very recently. I think it was back in April or something, because there was an outrage from their existing customers. So it seems like there's a lot of more usage for this AI chatbot-based dating scene going on.
For sure.
Yeah, adding on to what Xiong is saying, another case that's trending right now is what we just saw from the screen. Karen Marjorie, she's a popular social media influencer who made her own AI avatar version of herself, where people can, date her. So you have to pay $1 per minute to get her to act as your girlfriend.
$1 a minute.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah,
it's not that cheap.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, but it made a profit of $100,000 just in the first week of its release. And there are still like more than 20,000 people in the waiting list right now in the chat room to become her boyfriend or one of her boyfriends.
One of her boyfriends, because 20,000 people in waiting room just for
the same person.
For the same person.
Yeah.
Raises a lot of ethical questions there. But Xiong, as Kyun just mentioned, 20,000 people are waiting to talk with Karen, the AI girlfriend. Now, why do you think these virtual partners seem to be popular among our generation?
I feel quite jealous. If I could charge them 1 cent per minute, if there's anybody's interested, but. There are more than 10 applications like Replica, and I guess there's more sort of, underground, semi-official ones like Karen Marjorie's application that are coming up these days, because AI is quite unregulated at the moment.
Right.
챗GPT, there's much different users. Just using the algorithm itself, you can also apply it to different machine learning softwares and things like that. So I also did come across a few different testimonials of users' experience, them having, sort of new age romantic relationships with these machines, but also came across a Norwegian Journal article on how users of social chatbot understand their human AI friendship. So that is quite interesting, and they categorize friendship in about 5 different sections, 5 different characters. One would be voluntariness and reciprocity. Second would be intimacy and similarity. Third, self-disclosure. Fourth, empathy. And lastly, trust. So all of these characters must be present in the AI chatbot for someone to feel actually friendly and have a personal connection with. So some of them, machines lack. Some of them machines can provide.
And it's definitely impressive to see the amazing technological milestone we've already reached. But there seems to be some drawbacks to seeing such virtual girlfriends and boyfriends come about. So what are your thoughts on this, Kyun?
Yeah, but it's just not just myself, but many experts in this field are already raising concerns that AI was commercialized to the public much before any proper legal or ethical framework was made, which means that it can be used in ways that go beyond appropriate measures that can even cause harm to people rather than help. So I think users can abuse it by crossing the line of sexuality, and in turn can expose this to many minors, which obviously will have negative impact. So these are some negative aspects towards this advance in technology.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it just before as well, we went on air, but concerns about data privacy as well.
Yeah, data privacy.
Imagine talking to your virtual girlfriend for years on, and then, a few years later, the company goes bankrupt, and all your information, all your records of your speech, your pictures and things could be leaked or could be even used against you.
Exactly.
Right.
Part of the big data to keep an eye on your whole activities.
But we also have to note that when I talk to experts related to AI, they say if there's too many regulations in the beginning of these stages, there can't be development. It hampers development.
Right, you're
so it is definitely a very tricky issue. So now we're going to hear what an expert has to say on today's topic to add more depth into our discussion. We're now going to add a computer science and engineering expert in our talks. It's Roman Jamplowski, Associate Professor at the University of Louisville. Great to have you here, Professor Jamplowski.
Thank you for inviting me.
All right, Professor, we briefly mentioned this. Isn't it worth noting how far AI tech has come when we're seeing more people look for virtual girlfriends and boyfriends? Now, could you tell us just exactly how the mechanism behind these types of services work?
So they're using a chatbot, a large language model, probably GPT-4. It's trained on all the text on the internet, all the books, all the data they can find, and it tries to complete the next token, kind of like your phone has autocomplete feature. It does that, but it's really good. It has internal models for different situations. You're playing chess, the next move should be this, and so on.
I see.
Yeah, we see how it works. There could be different language models to be used in these different applications, but I think we also should be a little bit cautious. So, based on your opinions, what are some concerns you have if we see AI-generated girlfriend-boyfriend services develop even more in the future?
So we don't have any research. This is really new. We don't know what impact it has on society. We're still kind of struggling to figure out what video games, what adult work does. People disagree, so it's not so clear-cut. We can kind of guess that maybe it's not optimal if you have to compete with this supermodel, always saying yes, female as an average woman. Maybe it's not optimal. A lot of money will be going towards those services, kind of the same money, which is now going towards OnlyFans and similar websites. But there could be benefits, maybe a lot of lonely people, maybe people with limited social abilities, disabilities will feel less lonely, reduce amount of suicides.
But I mean, also, I mean, it might be related to our generation, the new younger generation, who are more used to virtual reality, who don't mind the boundary between physical world and the virtual world sort of mixing together. Do you think there could be other applications, like maybe some hardwares that could connect with these virtual reality softwares, AIs and things like that, that could provide a real life experience?
Well, certainly there are sexual robots, sex bots of all sorts, where if you add this capability, it would make experience a lot more real. But at the end of the day, I still think it's not as excellent as what nature provides.
I see.
Okay, Professor, this is a million-dollar question. Do you think one day AI can replace humans?
So my research is not on sex robots. I do work on safety and security. I'm more concerned about them not just stealing our jobs and stealing our girlfriends, but killing everyone. So technically, there is no limit to how good they can be in terms of intelligence. We're already starting to see them competing in multiple domains. In terms of bodies, they are still not that advanced. They're pretty good humanoid robots, but there is no biological robots yet at that level. So I don't think we're ever going to get complete replacement. We may get extinction event, but not a replacement.
All right, so we'll have to see how far technology goes, and hopefully we do need to see more regulations, right?
There is a lot of work on regulating not just AI for entertainment, but AI for military purposes, AI in science and education. The problem is to enforce any type of legislation, you have to be able to monitor those systems. And that's a very difficult technical problem. We just don't know what those systems are capable of until we train them and release them. And then we study them and see, oh, we know it can write stories. We didn't know that before. That's interesting. But at that point, it may be too late and it has capabilities we would not want it to have.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor. It was a pleasure to hear from you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And before we end off our discussion, I would like to ask you guys in the studio, would you ever be willing to date an AI-generated girlfriend or boyfriend or significant other that's actually an AI-powered girlfriend?
If it was just out of curiosity, just purely out of curiosity, maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
But if it's going to cost me a lot of money, probably not. Because, you know, in the real world, you know, going on a date already costs like a lot of money. Well, inflation, you know, rising food prices, things like that, those factors really play a big part. So I don't want to be, you know, spending money on virtual girlfriends and real girlfriends.
Do you think you could fall in love with an AI who understands your needs perfectly?
I mean, it could be a possibility because after watching the movie Her, I thought, hey, they could be possible, you know, because she listens to you, she understands you, and you can kind of switch her off whenever you want. So you have the choice to actually, you know, to zip her up.
It's all about efficiency for you, I feel.
It is.
Cost efficiency, whether that be time. But what about you, Xiong?
I mean, I like the physical nature of the world we live in. You know, so the scent, the facial expressions, the little hints and gestures you can pick up, all adds the pure essence of romance. Even when you text an actual person, quite often it is easy to mask your true intentions. If I was to one day get bored or tired of actual human interaction, or get, you know, really lonely that I could, you know, just need someone to chat to, I will possibly consider dating a computer-based girlfriend. But until then, I'd much rather prefer an actual person, you know, an actual challenge, you know, someone who can actually be a companion to.
Yeah, for sure. And I think this is a fun discussion topic that we could have with our friends anytime. So we asked our viewers what they think as well. So take a look at the screen to find out what a few of them had to say. And FWG2324 said, I think it's the same as the digital pet, the wedding in Japan to a hologram, Miku the singer, people who love 2D or 3 characters. My question is, why are they going to make a girlfriend and not a boyfriend? Maybe because men are more visual than women? And Doing Our Hire 4630 said, well, let us not try to replace human relationships relations with a half-human, half-machine relation. It might be scary. Toby Yod said, I wonder when Samsung or LG will start selling smartphones and other devices with a virtual friend, teacher, and significant other. That can cross platforms with your other smart devices such as your car, TV, and even your workplace. Wow, Toby's last comment there is really innovative. I think that's a really creative idea.
Yeah.
And it's a great segue into my final question of the day. Where would you like to see this type of service or technology go?
So far, it is only in the early stages, but we're seeing so much progress, and we're seeing many people finding their significant others much easier, efficiently, and with a lot of satisfaction as well. So I think, I'm all for this kind of technology. But on the other hand, I was thinking, just about this topic, I was thinking, if I had a virtual girlfriend, as humans, we all age.
Yeah.
I will get wrinkly. Very old, not be able to talk like this.
Yeah.
But if my AI girlfriend still remained the same, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would feel pretty sad that we're not aging together.
Yeah.
It's just me. So I was thinking,
End up being a generational girlfriend.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
But that could cause, again, ethical issues. But
Ethical issues,
I was thinking, maybe, like the programmers can make AI age as well.
What fascinates me, though, is that we're talking about this. We're talking about finding an AI girlfriend that can age with us
And die with you.
and die with you.
Eventually.
We're thinking of them as actual humans at this
Yeah.
point. What about you?
Well, I think we're trying to commercialize it in a bit of a sense and see what we can do.
Yeah.
But I think unless the technology can exactly mimic human interaction, the conflicts, the mood swings, the environmental change that could cause unexpected fear, sadness, worries, or happiness, it may just stay where it is. So AI for the purpose of temporary friendship, sexual pleasure, companionship is definitely an efficient method, but it may detach the users from the society and cause immense harm to physical human society. So rather I can see that it could apply really well and really naturally into our daily lives, but I think we should be aware and not really just trust too much in them, not to get too used to them, so we lose the human touch and know what it is to be actually human. Not being perfectly monitored AI where you could just get perfect responses every time. Humans aren't like that. And if you keep not getting used to that, if you forget that actually humans can't do that, then when you come into the actual real world, it's going to cause a huge havoc.
And there's not going to be any interaction between
like
human beings.
Like in the movie Her as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you asked $1 million question to our expert, will AI ever replace human beings? I think that's a central question that we should always keep our minds on when we're covering this issue. And that's all we have for you today. We'll be here every day from 9:30 to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics young people are talking about. Special thanks to Kim Xiang
My pleasure.
and Park Ki-hoon.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you next week. We are
News Generation.